So this might be a slightly longer video. We've got a lot to look at. What we're going to be doing with this is layout and mostly the legend. We'll look at a couple of other things as well, but there's a lot of settings and things get really messy and it's not particularly user-friendly. There are so many properties and there are a few bugs that we've got to deal with. Believe it or not, there are bugs in ArcGIS. Who knew? So let's get on with this. What we've got here is exercise 5, the network analysis. This is the second part has been done. We've got a route going between these 2 points, and I want to show this. And of course, the problem with the route is when we look at the attribute table, it's a single object. It's homogeneous, and all it has is one total length. So we don't know. We can't see an increase in distance along its length. Which we might consider a problem. What we can do, what I did previously to this, was I created a service area that goes all the way out to 3000. We don't really want the polygons. Let's kill those off or just turn them off. None of this actually we need. Line barriers we don't have. We don't have polygon barriers. We don't have point barriers. Let's actually turn the facilities off. The only thing we're really interested in are these lines because these are our the normal lines that we know of, with all the distances, the from length, the to length. So each line in our network here now, or at least in the service area, as it's mapped, has a distance. For the start, where the line starts has a particular distance, and where the line ends has a particular distance. That's the only 2 bits of information we can get out of it. Each line is a homogeneous object, but with these two sort of qualities. So we can at least try and color our network after that. So let's start by doing that. We'll go to the symbology for the lines. What we want is graduated colors, and it's suggested source ID, which is not ideal because the source ID doesn't make any sense. It's just an ID number. Let's go to the longest length, the 2 cumul length, the cumulative distance. It's not a great name. We will change that later. But it's it's the information we want, but the name doesn't make any sense to anybody else. We don't want, let's go for equal interval rather than natural breaks, because this is a distance, so so equal interval makes more sense. Let's have 10 different levels. We still can't see much. Our network is fairly thin, so we've got to click on more here, and we want format all symbols, and then we can increase the line width to something, let's say 4, click on apply, and they're kind of thick lines there. Yep, okay, so we can now see these lines. We get an idea of the distance. But when we look at these distances, they're micrometer accuracy, highly unlikely. And in fact, impossible. We don't have that level of accuracy. We want to display meter accuracy. It's worked this out because it does that. You know, it's sort of floating point numbers, so it's just ended up with this. It doesn't make any sense. So we click on this icon up here for the labels. We're going to format the labels, decimal places. We take that down to 0. But also we need to, so we can see now they've got to 0 watt. So now we need to put a suffix on the end to indicate what this is. So we put an M there, and we now have something that makes a little more sense. Still not happy with this. 2 cumul length. What does that mean? Well, tell you what, let's just change. We can change the name of this layer from lines to distance. That's a bit better. So now we know that layer there at least represents distance through our network. Our route is there. We can't actually see much of what's going on there. So what can we do about this? Let's click on the symbology for that. So we could click on that and we could change that color. Well, how about if we change the symbol entirely? We've got a solid stroke there. Yeah. Can we, I mean, what about if we try and do something about it? How about add a layer symbol? Add a stroke layer. So there's that, and then yeah, we've got that. So we've got our symbol there, and then offset, layer effects, add effect, point controls, buffer, reverse, rotate, scale, suppress. There's all this stuff going on, and all we want to do is offset it. So how do we offset it? Will it let us know how we offset it? No, it won't. Dash effect, offset effect. So there's some layers and we copied it. The layer effect, add effect. Where is it? How do we actually access this? Global effects, no. Layers, add symbol layer, no. We just want to, how about if we get rid of that entirely and we just have this black layer there, and then we want to offset it. Which we can't, because obviously, you know, that would be too interesting. Offset effect, thank you, there we go. So you got to go back there. That obviously, you know, that makes sense, because so now we can start moving that around. Let's make now we set that to 4 points. So let's offset that by 4 points. Click on that one and offset that by -4 points. And we get this black line there. Oh no, because that should have actually been 2 points. So we'll click that up to 2 points. No, okay. As I said, that's -2, and that should be +2. If we click on apply there, we've now got a black line or black lines around the side of this. So we've managed to set this up. As with everything in this, it's a hell of a fiddle. You know, you can't, you want to click here to do things, and you can't, because you've got to realize, oh, actually those are in there, in a different place. You know, it's just one of those things. There's the offset effect there, dash effect. We can question which offset is that and which offset is that. We've got two different offsets. It's what? Hey, it's a very confusing kind of setup. We've got offset effect, offset. Let's kill that one. Let's kill that one. And if we go back there, like, so there are so many different settings on this for all sorts of different things, and it really can be quite confusing. But there's our color, there's our line width. If we want, we can make that a little thicker, go onto that one and make that a little thicker. You will have to play around with all of these to try and get it to work. I'm not saying this is correct, and if you find this confusing, welcome. This is quite confusing, and they haven't made it particularly intuitive, but by a combination of looking at what's going on in here, clicking between there, and this is a sort of generalized styling for that particular symbol, you will eventually manage to come up with something that works. You might scream at the computer a couple of times. You know, that's perfectly okay. If you don't, you're probably not human. So now we've got something that looks like our map that we want to actually create a map from. So we've got our distance from the start going there. We can see the colors through this, but the black line tells us where our route is. That's kind of nice. So let's go now. What we want to do is to add a map. So we go to or a layout, sorry. And this is we're going to do this in landscape because our route is going horizontally across the region here. So we click on our layout there, and then we want to add a map frame, and we'll just take that one and we can add that in something like that. That would be a nice little snap. So we've got that in there. Now, if we're not happy with the positioning of this, if we want to change things, then obviously what we have to do is right click and click on activate. And now we can move things around. And then once we've done that, we want to unactivate. Well, how do we do that when I right click? So that's click on layout there. Now we can click on close activation. Obviously there's a consistency in the implementation. Oh, sorry, there isn't a consistency in the implementation. That's what I meant to say, wasn't it? Like, there isn't consistency in thought, indeed, in anything that Esri does. Right, so things that we need. Standard for this, how about grid? We want some coordinates in there. So we click on grid, and we want a measured grid rather than the degree, longitude and latitude. So let's go on measured grid. There are lots of choices here. Let's take this one, click on that, and we get this grid, and we've got lines crossing the map, which are kind of a distraction. I think they get in the way, but worst of all, the coordinates from the outside. So if we right click on there, we've got properties. Now, general, there's a name there, there's a map grid. We're in the right coordinate system. There's our symbol. What happens if we click there? So labels, ticks, and grid lines. So these are the grid lines, and I suggest that we get rid of them. You don't have to. If you think it's fine, you keep them in. Labels and ticks, so these are the labels, and those little dashes there are ticks, and they're both outside. So let's start by moving the ticks inside. Let's make them a little longer, make them, that was quite a bit longer, 2 millimeters, and offset, we'll take that down to -2. Then they should end up inside. Good. And then we do the same thing for the labels. Let's offset, so take those down inside. That should be about okay. Still, I think they're a little, they're not terribly readable. What happens, what's this vertical thing? Let's just click on those. And now our labels on the east and west should, once they're, there we go, it's woken up. So now they're turned vertically like that. Gives us a little more space inside the map. Also changes the readability perhaps, but we're also not happy with the text. If we want, we can click on that. It may not be entirely evident, but you can actually click on that, and then we've got all the different properties for it. But like the formatting there, we could change that, kerneling, ligatures, blah blah blah. Let's go back to there and click on halo, and then give it a halo. This is the like the buffer in QGIS, and now the text gets this little buffer around it, halo, and we can read that text a little more easily. So that was getting the grid in. Now let's get a scale bar in there. So scale bar, double alternating, sounds good. And I'm going to put this in the middle to begin with because the properties window tends to hide the scale bar. Otherwise, if we put it down here, we won't see half of it. We can't see much of the scale bar as it is now, so let's just go to background. There is under this display. Click there. We give it a white background, and then we can see something of it. Go back here, scale bar, map frame, yeah, computed center. We want kilometers, label text, kilometers. Sure, we could, if we want, we could change that to km, or we can leave it as kilometers, or we can spell it properly, and then go below center like that. That shortens it like that. It's still a bit of a mess. So how about if we, instead of adjust division value, we go adjust width and division width, 0.1 kilometers, that's good. And subdivisions. So one division was before 0? No, I don't think so. Subdivisions, let's take that down to 0. And we've got 5 of those. Right, so there's still a bit of a mess. Number of decimal places, yeah, we want, let's just take that down to 1. Show 1,000 separate use fractions, offset, no marks. Well, divisions and first mid, actually just go divisions for there. Good, so now we've got a fairly sensible scale bar. That, I think, works. Click on that, please. And then we can move that into place. And similarly for things like the north arrow, click on the north arrow there, and we can pull in a north arrow somewhere like that. And we have the same problem where we have to click on the properties and give it a background so that we can actually see it. There we go. So there's our north arrow. Now we come to the tricky part. Now we come to the legend, and this can get quite messy. So first of all, let's just make sure that the things that are active in our map are the things that we're interested in. We don't have any barriers, so let's get rid of all of that. The stops we want, the route we want, this distance thing here we want. Everything else we've turned off. it's not relevant for our map. It's not interesting. What we do have is the map in the background, of course. That's there. Most of this stuff is not turned on. Now we've got all of these different symbols. This is going to create some problems later on because I don't know about you, but I can't see the difference between these. There's a difference in the name, but the actual map symbol, it's all the same thing as far as I can see. And nobody reading your map is going to be able to see any difference either. So that could give us some problems later on. But for now, let's just see what's happening. So there are two ways we consider the legend. The background map is this property map, Fastighetskartan, from the Swedish land survey, Lantmäteriet. Because there's a whole mess of symbols in here, and I don't think it's terribly relevant, I wouldn't object to you just writing that the background map is Fastighetskartan, or the property map from Swedish Land Survey, and then it's up to the map reader to find out what the symbols mean. They're fairly self-evident. They're not the most important information in this map, but let's just see what we can do, even if we try and get one in, because it does work. There is a possibility of getting something functional in here. So let's just go for legend there and add our legend there, and we can't see a thing because we don't have a background again. For some reason the default is to make everything essentially unreadable. For those of you who are familiar with S3 products, that's not entirely surprising. So we've now got these features in here. We've got something going on here. But what's yeah, no, this line barriers, I thought I turned those off. No, I didn't. Let's kill that. Properties. What can we see here? If we click on that, adjust there. Sync font, layer visibility, new layer, reference scale, legend items, show properties. What happens if I do that? Then we get up all of this over here. So here we have our legend, and we can move that around. These three dots here mean that there's a lot of other stuff. It means that there's stuff here that it's just not able to show us. So as we can see, we've got a whole load of crap that we really don't need. So one thing that would be nice, going to hunt around, so if we only show features visible in the map extent. Well, if we do that, immediately things become a lot easier. Still lots of stuff to be seen. What happens if we stand out there? So we've still got all of this in there, and it's still struggling to show it all. But what we can do is, if we consider what we actually want to show, most of these things, so we've got some stuff in there, the stops, point barriers, which one's which. So we've got stops, we've got route, we've got this two. So that, let's see, is that stops? Yeah, that's that stops. So we want that. We don't want point barriers, so let's just remove it. That was really nice. Routes, line barriers, we're not going to need. All of these barriers, those things we don't really want, so we can remove those. And of course it jumps around because why wouldn't you? We know we want stops, routes, distance, line barriers. Everything else, for a good way down, we're just not going to be using. So I did say everything else. It just, no, apparently not. So we got rid of that, and then there's a lot of stuff here that we're just not terribly interested in. We don't have stuff to show. A lot of these symbols just aren't relevant for us. I mean, one thing we could look at here is what is actually being displayed in this map. If we pull that out to there, what do we have? We've got roads. We don't have railways. We've got some roads. We've got some buildings, and we've got these surfaces here. So we can actually click on that. None of those, none of those. Let's remove those. It's just a mess in the way. That we don't want. No, we can go down to, we don't want that, we don't want that. And then remove those. And we're not going to be showing those, so let's remove. So we've got the buildings, we've got the roads, and we've got the ground cover there. So we've removed everything else. Still, this is a bit much, isn't it? It's a bit of a mess. Let's reduce the size of that, take that down, and you can see it still gets rather confused. Bless. It really is a shame. Esri only earn billions of dollars a year and they can't sort these things out. They haven't quite got around to doing it. So what do we need to do? Well, we've got this distances here. We've got this 2 km length, and we've got, at some point the legend will update if we're lucky. But if we look at the distance there, and we've got this 2 km length and distance. Yeah, good. But it seems to be sitting in this service. What is service area 3000? I mean, oh, it's that, you see. That's where it comes from. It's the group name. So if we get the properties here, get properties up. Group layer name, right, okay. So if we kill that, it goes. Excellent. Right. Headings. Kill that, it goes. Now, this is interesting because sometimes you can't get rid of the group layer name. Sometimes you can. And if you can't get rid of the group layer name and it just doesn't want to let you, this is grayed out and it just refuses to budge, well, you can try turning these things on and then like the things that are above it in the list here, and then setting going to the settings for the facilities in the legend, and then this should be active, and then you could try turning that off, and then maybe it will disappear, maybe it won't. If it doesn't disappear, then the other alternative is simply to right click on this, so you right click on it and you just copy it. You click on copy, and then you can turn the whole of this thing off, the whole of service area, the whole of this service area off, and under map you then click on paste, add it in again as a separate, as the same thing again. It should have kept the symbology. You might have to get rid of the 2 km length again, but then it's worked. That's potentially, it could happen if you're lucky. So let's have a look at what happens in root if we click on the properties. Visible, hang on, how did that not happen now? So obviously consistency, see now, now it's doing it. So if I want to get rid of root, which is the group name there, yeah, but if I click on stops, so click on properties there, and now it says I can do it, and it did it. And that was really rather lucky because in previous attempts at making videos like this, that hasn't, removing that has worked temporarily, and then it's come back again afterwards. But it seems to have worked now. Just bugs. So we've got buildings there. What else? So if we click on the properties for that, we don't want the layer name. The group name really is the most interesting thing. So we click on that. Only show features, yeah, and then we'll click on that. We go properties, and layer name, yeah. We don't really want the layer name. But where are all of these things? We're wondering. We're thinking, well, they should start showing up surely at some point here. We're still not seeing them. So now we need to start thinking about how to adjust the layout so that we can see all of these things. We've got one more to get rid of. Let's click on properties, get rid of that layer name because it doesn't make any sense. And now we've got these, and Yeah. Okay, so that, right, they're all in there. But the problem is, as soon as I try and make I mean, I suppose I could try and adjust this so that instead of being up there, it's down there. We can play around with the layout if we move that up there, move the north arrow out the way. We can start moving things around, but it's still kind of large, isn't it? I mean, it's not really, it takes up a lot of space. So obviously we've got to look at the properties for this. Legend items, show properties, they're all over here. Sizing, patch width, we can reduce the size of that. Show feature, no, we don't really want to. So label or layer names, no. How about text symbol there? So formatting, we can, it's got it word spacing 100%, ligatures, appearance, so regular size, the size is for some reason not set. We can adjust the size to reduce that if we think we want it smaller. I can change the type of text that we want. We can make it even smaller. So we start adjusting things, and it still feels like a bit of a mess. What else can we do? I mean, in terms of legend items, patch width, patch height, we could try reducing this sort of thing. We can take that down and take that down. That makes those smaller. But we've still got this large, oversized that dominates the map. I've managed to bring it down to something, and maybe I'm happy with this, but we've still got all of these extra symbols that they're just not, they don't seem to help. So is there any way for me to do anything about these? It's not straightforward. It doesn't look as if there's much really that we can do here. Legend item, group layer name. We're not getting any farther than what we than before. Keeping a single column does that. Move that again. So, well, what can we do? As it is now, not a huge amount. But if we go to here and we click on Convert to Graphics, which is the last thing we should do, as in, I mean, not as in, no, never do this, but it is the last thing. You should get everything else set up first. And then once we're here, we can start looking at actually convert it to graphics. And then all of these become individual objects that you can then activate and deactivate as you see fit. So they're now decoupled from the data and are graphical objects. And you can start turning them on and off, and you will be able to manipulate them as well individually. So that's the best that you can do for getting rid of multiple objects that don't make much sense to repeat. You're going to want to keep one of these and then move these objects around. That is the best you can do with the legend without going into terribly much more detail, really. Things can get very messy and very complex very quickly with this. That's the end of that video.